Okay, well, that being said, I'm also very conscious of time as well. So why don't I make a start? Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Girls Education Challenge Discussion Series. I'm Sharon Tao, the Education Director and Team Leader of the Girls Education Challenge Fund Manager. So just before we start, I just wanted to cover some housekeeping rules. In the interest of bandwidth, could we all please keep our cameras off and go on mute unless you are speaking? We'd be very grateful for that, so thanks. We'd also like to let you know that we are recording the session, so if you have any issues or concerns, please do let us know. And if you could go on mute, that would be great. Thanks. And finally, at the end of the webinar, we have a very brief survey for participants, just 3 questions to help us improve our practice. So if you could please stay and fill out that survey at the end, we'd be very grateful. So great, and I think we have some more participants now. So welcome again to the Girls Education Challenge discussion series. For those of you who may not be familiar with the GEC, it is funded by FCDO and is comprised of 41 projects across 17 countries, implemented by different partner organizations. And although there's great variety in size and scope amongst the 41 GEC projects, all of them aim to support the most marginalized girls, either those who have already dropped out of school or never attended school, or those who may be enrolled in school but who are at most risk of dropping out. So that said, this discussion series aims to present the GEC's learning and analysis regarding the impacts of COVID on girls and how the GEC projects, fund manager, and the independent evaluator responded to these impacts in their different roles and capacities. We've had 2 webinars in this series so far. The first presented the GEC's independent evaluators initial estimates of learning loss in Kenya and Nepal as a result of COVID-19. Our second webinar, we heard from partners from CAMFED, Leonard Cheshire, and Plan International about how their projects partnered with government and community networks to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. And today we'll be hearing about lessons learned from South Asia regarding gender responsive approaches to education at the height of COVID-19. So I would like to now introduce and pass over to the chair for today's webinar, Ian Atfield, who's the Senior Education Advisor for the GEC in South Asia, based in Kathmandu, Nepal, although you might not be there now. But passing over to Ian. Thanks very much.
Great, thanks, Sharon. And yes, I think like many English colleagues and friends of mine, we're all reeling from the surprise and shock that England last night did manage to make it to the Euro 2020 final. And I think that shock has only been surpassed by, I think, the continued ravages, both